Hey now, Brawlers, it's time for another Board Game Brawl review with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey now, today we're going to take a look at Tides of Time from Portal Games. This is a two-player only strategy card drafting game. There's only 18 cards in this box. You and the other player are drafting these different cards that have pictures of like lost civilizations on them. It's a fairly themeless game, I'll just go ahead and say that up front. But you're trying to draft these different cards in order to score them in the best way possible. And there are a couple of other tricky things in the game that are different from other card drafting games you might have played. So let me go ahead and give you a brief overview of how the game works. Then we're going to come back. I'll let you know what I think. Alright, let me show you how to play Tides of Time. There's not a lot of footprint to this game. There are 18 cards in the main deck. Each player is going to get 2 of these Relic of the Past tokens. You get a little cheat sheet card you just keep off to the side if you need to remind yourself of suits in the setup and the gameplay. But there's not that much. You really probably won't need it most of the time. Then you have a scoring pad where you'll keep track of the 3 rounds of play and your score that you have at the end of each of those rounds. And you have a pencil together with that scoring pad. Now, as you may have gotten from that, the goal of the game is to have the most victory points by the end of those 3 rounds. A reminder, this is a 2-player only game. So before I show you what's actually on the cards, let me just run through how the game is going to work. Each player is going to get 5 cards from the main deck at the beginning. Remember, there's 18 cards in the deck, so that's going to leave 8 off to the side. You're going to take your 5 cards and you're going to draft. It's just a very simple drafting game, so you're going to take one of the 5 that you have. These are actually horizontally aligned. Take one of the cards, put it face down in front of you. Once each player has done that, here, we'll give you the full simulation. Then each player is going to flip it over, reveal what it is. Nothing happens right now. All these cards are going to score at the end of the round. So each player has that. Then you're going to pass. Okay? Pass just as with any other drafting game. And you're going to do this a total of 5 times. So, time-lapse video. Alright, so now all 5 cards have been played, and by the way, if you're paying attention to what these cards actually are, I just put a bunch of random cards out there. They probably don't make any kind of sense and are probably terrible cards to play with one another. In any case, once all 5 cards have been played, then you're going to score, which I'll get back to in a minute when I actually explain what the cards do, but every single card has its own type of scoring condition based on the icons and the criteria of the card. Once everyone's played their cards, each player scores, you're going to write down your scores on the pad, and then here's where it gets a little bit interesting, or very interesting. Each player is going to take the 5 cards that they played back into their hands. But before you do anything else, you're going to take one card from your hands that you're going to put off, you're going to put down on the table, and that card, once both players have selected it, is going to be their Relic of the Past. You flip over simultaneously, and then you put your first Relic of the Past token on it. And what this signifies is that that card is locked in. That means that for the next 2 rounds of play, you are going to start off with that card in play, and you will be able to score it just like you will all the other cards, and your opponent can't do anything about it, cannot take that from you. That is an extra card that you have. Next, of the 4 cards they have left in their hand that they played in round 1, they're going to take one other card and simultaneously put it off into a separate pile, technically back into the box, signifying that it is out. That card that each of you just chose is completely out of the game. Then each player is going to get 2 more cards from the main deck to bring your hand total back up to 5, and you do it all over again, which means you're going to draft again. Although this time you'll have 5 cards in round 2 together with the 6th card, the Relic of the Past card that you already have out there. Then you're going to score again based off of that new criteria. Then you're going to do that again, pick up all the cards, but only the cards that you played in round 2, leaving your first Relic of the Past out there. Then you're going to signify another card as your second Relic of the Past. Get rid of another card from your hand and then draw 2 more to bring it back up to 5 for round 3. Round 3, you draft one more time, score one more time with a total of 7 cards. Whoever has the most points at the end of that 3rd round is going to be the winner. Now, let's go ahead and actually take a look at the cards to figure out what the heck I'm talking about when I say scoring. Okay, so all but 3 of the 18 main deck cards in the game have a symbol up in the top corner. Okay, there's 5 different, we'll call them suits. There's 5 different suits in the game, and they actually have proper names, like I think it's library and stronghold or something, or castle, and temple and garden and throne room, castle, something like that. We just call them by color. But you even have a name at the bottom if you really want to get into the very limited lore of the game. But you'll have the symbol up in the top corner. That's the suit. But over here is the important part. This is what tells you how you're going to score this card if you play it down in front of you during the draft. This one says that for each garden, for each green leaf, you gain 3 victory points. Okay, so I think in every single instance, except in some instances where there's multiple suits, the actual suit of the card won't usually have much to do with how this card actually scores. As another example, you have cards that have majority. So this one is the red suit, but if you have the majority in blue cards, and it has to be a clear majority unless, and we'll get to that in a minute, then you get 7 victory points. This is one of the temple cards, the purple cards, which says that for each set of blue and green, you gain 5 victory points. And then they have extreme sets. So there's some that are 3 symbols. This one actually has all 5 suits. If you have a set of all 5 suits, you gain 13 victory points. And this is one of the green cards. That's what this particular suit is. So it counts for itself in this case. And then you have cards that just have special abilities and don't have any kind of scoring. And this one happens, this is, I think, the only one of those that has a suit associated with it. This one is you win all ties. So as long as this is in play, you will win for anything like majority. Then you have special ability cards. There's 3 of them in the game. They have no suit associated with them, but you'll gain their effect. So this one says double the amount of your most numerous suits or suits. It could be multiple suits that you have the majority of if there's a tie for yourself. Then for scoring the highest card with a single card, you get 8 victory points. Now, these aren't worded great. The rulebook clarifies them a bit. But what that means is that if you have one card that scored more points than the other players, any one card from the other player, you'll gain those points. And then this one, worded even more weirdly, says for the majority in suits with only one card, you gain 8 victory points. What that means is that if you have one card of, let's say, all 5 suits, but you only have one of each of those suits, then you're clearly going to be the winner unless the other player ties you. But let's say that your opponent has 4 suits that they only have one card in, and you've only got 3, then your opponent is going to win. It's kind of a weird one, but that's essentially how it works. So you're going to be drafting these cards, trying to amp up your score as much as possible, having them key off of each other to get either majority or to have the most, or to just have certain cards give you bonuses based on the suits that you play, and so on and so forth. Drafting 3 rounds, scoring at the end of each 3 rounds. Whoever has the most points is the winner. That is Tides of Time. Let's get to my final thoughts. Now, Portal Games is a company that I really am starting to love because of the quality of the work that they've done. And I haven't played every one of their games. Some of the games I've played, though, are very notable, like Imperial Settlers right back here, which is one of my top 10 games of all time, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. But the games that I've played of theirs have been bigger games. I mean, like actual, what you would expect of average board game size nowadays. Haven't played every one of their games, but I think this is the smallest game that they've done, so I didn't know what to expect, but I can tell you with certainty this is an awesome little game. I don't want to overhype it and overblow how much game is in there. It is a very light game, but I was surprised at how much depth and strategy there is. And like I said, the game is themeless. That's just something you have to get past. You're either going to like the game or not. And if you don't like games that are fairly abstract, then you may want to move along if that's the case. Although I will say the appearance of the game is great. I love the artwork. Everything looks really slick. The icons and the text on the cards are very easy to understand. Some of the, as I mentioned in the overview, some of the special ability cards are a little weirdly worded, but once you get it, you get it. It's super simple. The rulebook is very straightforward. It's a very easy game to learn. I mean, everything I described in the overview is the game. It's not any more complicated than that. So you can jump right into it, learn it in 5 minutes, play it in less than a half hour, which is fantastic. I mean, I think once each player knows the game, you can knock out a game in 10 minutes. I really think that's possible. So that's great. And like I said, there's a surprising amount of strategy here because as with any card drafting game, it's knowing when to hold a card that you really need and can get you the maximum amount of points, but is it better to deny your opponent a card that they could really use? And because it is only 2-player and because it is just 5 cards back and forth, at least in the beginning, it is very easy to look over and say, wow, this one card, if he or she is to draft it, is going to be huge for them. But if I take this card, this is huge for me. is this going to make it back to me? Is it better for me to deny my opponent these points now, but maybe they'll still be okay anyways because they could also use this other card? That whole back and forth is really interesting. And even though, again, a lot of other card drafting games do that type of thing, it feels more visceral and direct in Tides of Time. Then you add the whole other aspect of the Relic of the Past, the card that you get to keep over twice. You get to do that a total of 2 times, so that by the 3rd round you have these 7 cards. And that one relatively minor thing really adds a whole other layer to the game, because now you're actually building a strategy. You're not just reacting tactically round to round. Now you're like, okay, I'm going to hold on to this card, and I'm not going to discard this. I'm going to discard this one instead that is totally worthless to me, and I'm going to hope that these other cards come back to me, or the cards that my opponent has in his hand right now will come back to me, at least 1 or 2 of them, because those are going to work perfect for the card that I locked down here. Again, you're doing all of this with 18 cards, but it feels like it could be even more. And in that way, I think the game is almost infinitely expandable, because you can just add, like, you're always going to have the same amount of cards, but you can add different cards with different symbols and swap them out and say, we're going to use this deck today instead, and still have that same amount of gameplay, still feel like you're playing a bigger game. So again, I don't want to overstate it. This is super light, and it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, especially since it is just an abstract set collection drafting game. Not just in a way, it is that. But I really, really enjoyed it. I played this first at Dice Tower Con, and there I probably had it checked out more than anyone else, the promo copy that they had there. And every time that it was just me and someone else, I was like, Tides of Time, let's do it. And I really, really enjoyed it then. I enjoy the final version that I have now. It's just a neat game. I think it's probably a perfect couples game. I keep recommending it to couple friends of mine, because I think it would just work really well for that. Easy to learn, fast to play, surprising amount of strategy. That is Tides of Time from Portal Games. Very impressed.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.